Blountstown is a tiny little burg in Calhoun County. It's only about an hour drive west of Tallahassee, but since October 10th, when Hurricane Michael rolled through town, it's been a world away from normal. We visited the little hamlet in December to see how folks were weathering the aftermath. What we found was a town that had been beaten down. Dr. Mary Watson is the emergency department physician at Calhoun Liberty Hospital.
Our EMS director did place an EMS crew here so that they could help our staff with any emergencies that were coming in, because we didn't really know what kind of injuries we were going to be seeing both during and after the storm.
Documentary filmmaker Elam Stoltzfus is a Blountstown resident. He rode out the fury at home with his wife.
So the storm happened on Wednesday, and it started about 12:30. Of course, we're Central Time, so 12:30. Electricity went off almost right away. As you can tell, we had pine trees all along our power lines, so it didn't take long for them to start snapping.
Before the storm, we were just seeing some little injuries. Then the storm came. The eye of the storm came right over Blountstown, so it was scary. You could really hear the wind incredibly loud here. If you watched out the windows, you could see our pieces of our roof coming off. You could see the tree line drastically change. Our windows blew in some of our hospital rooms up at the front of the hospital.
My wife and I, she was just the two of us, and we were sitting in the first room, the family room is what we call it. It has big beams, and it's the safest place in the whole house. And it wasn't long and we heard this big thud. And so she went to the back door and looked out. She didn't say anything, and I said, "Esther, what happened?" And she turned around, she had tears coming down her eyes. She said, "You don't want to see this." And I'm like, what could it be? It's like my mind couldn't register, so I walk over. And the big oak tree, which was like our signature, we call it the arm that kind of embraced the backside of the house, was down. It had fallen away from the house. I was stunned. How much wind did it take to blow that huge tree down? I mean, it's probably 80 years old. It was big. We'll show you the stump later on. So I thought, well, if that tree came down, we're in for a heck of a ride here, because that was just the beginning.
Jim Dooley is a lifelong broadcaster, and he owns the local AM/FM radio station.
Trees and everything were down, power was out all over town. It was the next day before I could actually leave the building. By the time the storm was over, it was a little bit too dark to get out and try to drive, and I knew I was blocked in anyway.
First thing we did is we kind of got out and just scoped around to see what really happened. And it was amazing all the carnage. And of course, I was worried about the horse and our chickens, our animals. I couldn't even get out there because all the trees were lined up along the fence. I had to climb over them and overthrow them. Found the horse, and he was just like shaking. I mean, so I just kind of had to hold him for a while. And the shed was gone, food was gone, everything was just destroyed.
John Plummer, no relation to yours truly, is a pharmacist who owns the local drugstore that bears the town's name.
Luckily, I had a chainsaw, so I cut my sideways out of my house, and we drove a little Kawasaki mule back and forth to work for 3 days before we could get a vehicle out. So there was just so much devastation through here. I was worried to death that a tree had fallen on the drugstore, or the drugstore had been blown away, just like the pawn shop next to us was completely devastated.
We knew our neighbors were okay. We'd made connection with them, so we knew for our community, the 3 families here, that we were okay. But we didn't know about anybody else.
The storm had passed, but we were trapped because there were so many trees down. These roads were all cut off. We could not get out. So they initially wanted, the EMS crew that was stationed here initially wanted to go out and do search and rescue, but they couldn't get out. And people couldn't really get to us. And then they cleared the roads pretty quickly, but even then it took, some time to clear out the other roads. So they had to clear 20 off pretty quickly so that we could get patients to Tallahassee, because that's the only way that you could transfer.
Thursday morning, woke up and came out to the front porch, and there was a tree right up to the porch, just touched the house, the big oak tree that was in the front side of the house, and just looked out and was like, I mean, I did this, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I don't have a plan. It's like all I could think was a little chainsaw and a little John Deere tractor, and I'm gonna be doing that for the next 20 years, you know?
Right.
So.
And Tim Rhodes is the pastor of First Baptist Blountstown.
Well, I think the first reaction was it kind of overwhelmed and stunned everyone. I think that obviously in this area, and I don't know anyone that's alive that's experienced anything of this magnitude. We've had hurricanes before, but nothing like this in terms of just the breadth of it and then the amount of destruction. So I think there were a lot of people that were really overwhelmed initially.